So earlier today I actually watched a movie that I was meaning to watch for a while, and I ended up really enjoying this one. Welcome back to the James Ryan Reviews Vietnam. So in today's episode, we're going to be reviewing for you the technically 2023 film Kill, but it's from 2024, recently, or no, it actually released in India in July. And we'll go into how I feel about this movie, what I would give it a 10 and stuff like that. But just so you know, right, I watched this earlier today on Amazon Prime. It's been on my list for a while because I honestly wanted to watch this movie because I've been digging deep into the Indian cinema phenomenon. I took a couple breaks because obviously I was away with family and stuff like that and whatever, but I just wanted to get into this movie. Been on my list for a while, right, so there's all of that. But what I'm going to say is I'm going to actually spoil a few things about this movie, so if you haven't seen this movie, definitely go and watch it. I would recommend it, and I'll explain why I think you should go and watch this film. And so yeah, there'll be that. I'll be linking it down below to watch it on Amazon Prime, right? So here we go. This is the quick plot summary for you. So a train to New Delhi becomes a combat battleground as a pair of commandos face off against an army of invading bandits. So that is what the movie is about. It runs for about an hour and 45 minutes. Another thing to mention here is that it was actually originally produced by Lionsgate, so no Indian production team, like for example there was no like Yash Raj Films or any of the Indian studios that you would see in a Bollywood or Indian production, South Asian cinema production or anything like that. So that's really interesting because it sets itself apart from the stereotypical Bollywood experience. So there's all of this. So where do we start with this movie? So my first initial impressions of this movie after finishing it earlier today is that this is probably one of the most fun, flawed times you could have with yourself with a movie, because the movie knows exactly what it's trying to say in its whole thing about how the revenge plot is here. We're here to take out these guys, we're here to give you the action and give you everything, produce the results you want, all of that. However, the movie is shot so unique compared to other Indian movies, whereas if you see an Indian movie, right, there might be them going to this location, going to this other location. This movie, except for a couple of scenes, is actually just set and primarily on this New Delhi train. And it just sets itself apart because it's able to tell a story in a small scale environment. It doesn't have to rely on like going to another country or whatever. So that's what really stands out to the film to me, And I will say the acting performances, the actors give it their all. They try their best, but it's not what I would take away from this movie and say is what it made it really good. So let me just explain a couple of the action sequences throughout this movie. Like, you start off with these simple stabs to the heart, simple stabs to the throat, and then when you see the title card reveal halfway through the movie, right, they didn't do the title card earlier on in the film, they decided to drop the title right in the middle of the movie, and you're just like, yeah, it's going to get crazier from here. So there's a literal scene where our main character, bashes this guy's head off a toilet seat, and it's going to get real when that happens. And then you see the main character get stabbed. He has to put like this cream or whatever on his wounds, and it's like, oh yeah, stuff is hitting the fan here, shit is hitting the fan, things are going crazy. So a lot of these scenes really do pay off in the end. However, I actually feel like the movie is kind of paced well. So for example, there'd be a scene where, okay, there's a lot of things happening, and then it kind of goes, and then I feel like the pacing just doesn't really justify, a big masterpiece type of movie. I don't think it's a masterpiece movie. It's not a perfect movie, because especially the twists and turns, and this is another spoiler, is that when you realise that there's a guy that's on the other side of the train that's after this other guy's girl, where it's heading, that this guy, the bad guy, is gonna just kill the woman because, right, the main character wanted to have this marriage with this woman. It just doesn't go right for him, everything just falls on his head. But then he realises that he can just come back from this and take out as many guys as he wants to. So if you're looking for an entertaining time with a movie, this is what you're gonna get. No shortage of that sort of thing. And so yeah, I do enjoy this movie. What would I give this movie out of 10? I will give this movie like a solid, probably like a 7 out of 10. Not the greatest movie I've watched in my entire life, but just a movie that knows what it is, knows what it's delivering, and it did provide this unique style to the Indian cinematic universe of movies where you're just like, okay, this is more small scale, this is more simple, this is all of this, right? And it definitely isn't a unique movie when you compare it to other Hollywood movies, because Lionsgate has done so many movies like this. I mean, there's been a lot of them, there's been a lot of movies just like this in general. So that's my review of, Kill 2024. In my original recording of this review, just before we wrap up here, I decided to talk about the box office records of this movie. For some reason, I was just kind of wanting to add something to it, but I don't think that would have actually added anything to the video. So just so you know, that was in the original cut of my previous review. And so it definitely was close to breaking even though, which is an interesting factoid about the film. But that's my review of Kill 2024. It originally debuted in the Toronto International Film Festival in 2023 show, but a 2024 Indian movie release. So yeah, stay tuned for more reviews like this. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you go ahead and watch this movie, because it was certainly a good watch for me. So that's my review. Stay tuned for more reviews like this. Bye.